You wake up without an alarm, not because you slept in, because there was never a sound to rip you out of sleep in the first place. No commute, no inbox. No 8 hours owed to someone else before you're allowed to rest. Just daylight, a fire that needs tending, and a group of people who already know exactly what today requires of them. Right now, you're probably reading this somewhere warm, with food a few steps away, and you didn't have to spend the morning finding either. 1. For roughly 300,000 years, that arrangement didn't exist. There was no job title, no shift, no boss. And yet humans survived, raised children, and passed down knowledge for thousands of generations without a single one of them clocking in. So what did they actually do with their time? In 1964, anthropologist Richard Lee spent months living with the Jew Huansi, often called the Kung San, in the Gobi area of the Kalahari Desert, on the border of modern Botswana and Namibia. He tracked their daily activities like a time and motion study. The result: adults spent an average of around 15 hours a week on hunting and gathering. 15. Compare that to the standard 40-hour week most people alive today are expected to work. And the Jew Huansi were feeding entire communities on roughly a third of that. Lee's data didn't just describe a tribe, it rewrote what anthropologists assumed subsistence cost. So, does that mean they were lazy? Everyone assumes hunter-gatherer life was a desperate, non-stop scramble to survive, dawn to dusk labor with no room to breathe. The truth is closer to the opposite. In 1966, at the Man the Hunter Symposium at the University of Chicago, anthropologist Marshall Salins took Lee's numbers and others like them and made an argument that scandalized the room. These were, in his words, the original affluent societies. Not because they had more, because they wanted less, and what they wanted, they could get quickly. But leisure isn't the same as rest, and here's where it gets stranger. In 2012, biologist Herman Poncer led a study on the Hadza people of northern Tanzania, a population that still hunts and forages daily, walking long distances under a hot sun. Using doubly labeled water to measure real caloric burn, Poncer's team found something nobody expected. The Hadza's total daily energy expenditure was nearly identical to that of sedentary office workers in the United States. A hard number worth sitting with. Despite miles of walking and physical labor every single day, their bodies weren't burning meaningfully more fuel than someone sitting at a desk in Ohio. So if they weren't working themselves to exhaustion, and they weren't burning extra calories doing it, what were their bodies actually adapted for? Sleep, it turns out, is where the story flips again. Everyone assumes life without electricity meant hunter-gatherers slept longer, deeper, more naturally than we do. In 2015, sleep researcher Jerome Siegel and his colleagues published a study in Current Biology tracking 3 groups with no access to artificial light: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Tsimane of Bolivia. The average night's sleep across all 3, 6 hours and 25 minutes. Shorter than the 8 hours often recommended today. Naps were rare, and their sleep wasn't triggered by darkness at all. It tracked the drop in ambient temperature after sunset, not the absence of light. Here's where it gets strange in a different direction entirely. The picture isn't ancient humans had endless free time to lounge around a fire. It's that their 15 to 20 working hours bought them something we've almost entirely lost: slack. Time for childcare shared across a group. Time for tool repair, storytelling, arguments, gossip, teaching. Time that wasn't earned, tracked, or owed to anyone. And the archaeological record backs this up further back than any living tribe can show us. At Blumbo's Cave in South Africa, archaeologist Christopher Henshelwood and his team uncovered deliberately engraved pieces of ochre in 2002, dated to roughly 77,000 years old. Someone sat down and carved a geometric pattern into a rock for no survival reason at all. That's not a species too busy staying alive to think. That's a species with room in its day for meaning. So here's the turn. The obvious answer to what did they do all day is, they hunted, gathered, cooked, slept, raised children. True, but shallow. The real answer is that work as a fixed, daily, hour-counted obligation, separate from the rest of life, owed to someone who isn't your family, didn't exist for almost the entire span of human history. It's not that ancient humans found a clever workaround to jobs. Jobs are the workaround, a recent invention layered on top of a species that spent 300,000 years doing enough, and then stopping. You woke up without an alarm at the start of this. Now think about tomorrow morning, and the sound that's actually going to wake you. Ancient humans didn't trade a struggle for survival in exchange for the security we have now. Lee, Salins, Poncer, and Siegel's numbers all say otherwise. They had roughly 15 hours of demand and the rest of the day as theirs. We built an economy that gave us safety nets, medicine, and full bellies nobody in the Kalahari could guarantee, and quietly billed us for it in the one currency they never had to spend: time. They didn't have jobs, they had days. We built jobs to buy the security they got for free, and paid for it with the very thing they had plenty of.